time for our cash tag segment. For that, let's bring in Landon Swan. He's a co-founder at Likefolio. Welcome back to the show, Landon. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday, Tom. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Reddit, finally goes public. Landon, I've looked on Reddit. I mean, it's a social media site, I guess, where you can ask questions, but it just seems like is it not user friendly? Is it user friendly? As somebody that's a novice at it, I kind of want to grasp a hold of that because that can really turn off traders and investors when they don't want to, look at some type of stock that maybe the context of it isn't user friendly.
Yeah, I mean, it's no Instagram or Pinterest, that's for sure. I mean, you're kind of either in it deep or you're not. And I think that, one of the things about Reddit is that it does have a lot of fantastic information in there, but navigating is not the easiest. It's kind of old school in the format. It's kind of like Drudge Report back in the day. Like they held onto their format forever. Reddit's holding onto their format. It's all text mostly, and you can upload images, but the format is just all text and very simple. But when you look at how well they've performed, they IPO'd at 34. They opened the trading, I think, at 47 that day. Got it. They ran up. They held that pop initially, ran up to 75, and then it's just been selling since. So we're back to, I think, to 46 or so, 45. Basically where it opened after that IPO. They gave some of those shares to the active Redditors. They had the CEO sold 500,000 shares. The COO sold 500,000 shares into the IPO, which is, kind of leaves you a bad taste in your mouth if you're buying into a company IPOing as they're selling. I get it. They got to get their $17 million payday, but hopefully they stay motivated to do well. But, when we look at just how well they're performing, the web data is strong. They're up about 23% on a year-over-year basis. Their daily active users are up 27% year-over-year. But some of the question marks are the fact that only about half of those daily active users are logged in while they're using it. And that may confuse you because, how are you using the site if you're not logged in? And I'll tell you, a lot of it is because of this sort of not well-known secret. If you're looking for great information on Google and you're typing it in, you're getting frustrated with searching, the best way to find a really good answer is to add Reddit at the end of your search, because then you got real users inputting on that very same question and they've been upvoted to the top, so that you've got the most useful answer coming back to you. And a lot of people use that. They're basically using Reddit for its data. They're not really interacting with it so much, but they're getting fantastic answers out of it, and they're kind of fixing the problem that has become Google search. And so if they can monetize that, then they've got themselves a gold mine, because just if you search something in it, you want to know how good a hotel or resort or something like that is, and you're thinking about traveling, put Reddit at the end of it. Just try it. You'll get amazing results compared to what you get out of Google, which is all ad-driven, paid, and AI's writing all the articles. It's not great. But the fact that only half of their users are logged in during this uptick of daily average users gives them a challenge for monetizing, because if you look at the comparison, Meta during this time is their revenue per user is up 16%, excuse me, while Reddit's revenue per user is down 7%. That's while their daily active users are up 27%. So there more people are using the website. Half of them aren't logged in, and they're not able to serve as many ads. So I think that's a bit of a challenge for them. They are sitting on a bit of a gold mine with all of the data that they've got. They're going to sell that to firms that are capitalizing on AI. They've already locked in $200 million worth of deals. So I think that they have a very good business. It's very data rich, and they can compete with, this is uncommon to hear, but they can compete with a Google to get that search results type information. I think that's probably one of their strongest plays. But it is tough to see the upside if you're not familiar with the company. But I do like them if they can figure it out. We're going to have to see. I don't know what kind of leadership they have. We're not super familiar with this company. They've just IPO'd, so we'll see. I think they've got a lot of potential, but it's a very different animal. This is not Instagram. This is not Facebook. This is not Pinterest. This is a completely different ballgame.
Okay, you're destroying my questions here, Landon, because I'm trying to figure out who is their competitor. Who are they? Whose lunch could they possibly eat? Is it Google and search? I mean, right now you share experiences, links, images, videos. That sounds like Facebook to me. Or that sounds like Twitter to me. What is it? Whose area are they coming into, and how do they get to making money? Is it all these new revenue streams that you were just mentioning?
I'd say the closest competition is probably Twitter, then Facebook. It's a community, and it's all these sub communities that's divided up. I think that's the most unique thing about them, is that they got these things called subreddits where, if you're into whatever, you go to that subreddit and everyone's talking about that thing. Wall Street Bets being one of the most famous for our viewers here. People are, they're familiar with how all that happened. That was the meme stock, GameStop, all of that stuff that happened that originated in Wall Street Bets subreddit. But I think that's what makes them different, is that they're divided up into these subreddits of users. So, the closest competition, I think, is Twitter, also maybe Facebook, but Twitter's probably number one, especially when you look at the demographics. Reddit's 64% male, so that puts them in a different category of all the different social media sites out there right away, because it's just so heavily skewed to the male side. Now, when I talk about Google search, I think this is, maybe this is just coming from a user, but, putting that word at the end of your search results gets you 10 times more authentic and real and usable information. And they're sitting on a ton of data. So I think that them either selling that data to someone to create a better search engine or doing it themselves is huge upside. The way they are, they're an ad business right now. I mean, that's what they do, is they bring in ads. I think that, if I could sit down with the CEO, I'd sell them on my search engine idea, but that's something for another day. Really, it's all about ads and driving visitors and keeping them logged in. So they've got to figure a way to capitalize on that. On all of those daily active users coming in. They got to get them logged in. They've got to get them viewing more ads. If they can do that, I think we've got a viable company that can turn a profit and be a great company long term. Right now, I think they're still trying to figure some things out. They've also got some threats inside, because all of those subreddits that I talked about, those are run by unpaid moderators. So these are volunteers. These are guys that are saying, you know what, we're going to fight the system. We're going to build this great infrastructure of information and, free ideas flowing, and, stick it to the capitalist pigs and all that kind of stuff. And now they're in an IPO, now they're in a publicly traded company and they're working for the man. And it's just, I think it's going to go against a lot of what their culture was. When all these unpaid moderators look at the stock price and say, well, I don't have any of that. Who am I working for? Why am I doing this? So they've got, I think, some potential conflict down the road with all that free labor that they're getting. So it's going to be interesting to see how this company goes from immature to mature as it goes through this stock market process.
Landon, quick question. You did mention the CEO sold 16 million in stock. COO sold 16 million in stock. CTO sold 6 million. The COO or CFO sold 2.3. Yeah, I get it. Lockup period's out, so they get out of some of it. My question is comparable to Snap, because I look at Snap, who's got hundreds of millions of users, right? But they just can't monetize their product that well, right? Is Reddit, are they susceptible to that same type of thing where, hey, it's complicated, it's not as easy as maybe some of the other social media platforms and information platforms that, hey, if you can't monetize it, they're not going to be profitable anytime soon, right?
Right. Well, what I think is interesting about Reddit is we talked about sort of the format of the website, the way that it's laid out. It's so different and so old school, I guess, if you will, that I think people are used to the ads being kind of in the way. Whereas with Snapchat, you're jumping in the middle of a conversation to show someone an ad, and it's very intrusive. Reddit, I think, actually has a more ad-friendly type setup, and I think they can probably monetize their users easier than Snapchat can, just because of, I don't want to use the word outdated, but the way that their technology is set up, the way the website is set up, it is just that format, that older school format, where I think ads are just more acceptable and more regular to see. I'd like to see something where they have like a premium or a pro and they start getting revenue off of that. But I think they're a little bit of ways from really driving that as part of their core process. They've got to get the ads going, and then they can start exploring, selling the data, building the search engine, getting more from premium subscriptions, that kind of thing. But I do think they've got they've got a huge asset in the amount of users and the amount of data that they're sitting on. It's just finding the best way to monetize it. And as long as they have good leadership, they'll be able to do it. I don't know, because I'm just not that familiar with how well they've executed. We just, we're looking at year over years right now, which is good on the visitor side, bad on the average revenue per user. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, you guys buyers on this, Landon, as far as the score?
Right now everything that we've got is slightly positive, but we need a lot more history with the stock. We're only into it a week or two. So at 46, I don't know. It's tough to say. So right now the data is iffy, but we need to see some really good leadership.
Yeah. If any, the last week and a half is any indication, prepare for some volatility in this one. All right, great stuff. Great data, Landon. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, that's Landon Swan, co-founder at Likefolio, breaking down the data for us.